And we're back, AdventureBlur here. Nights into Dreams is officially 25 years old. I'll be honest, I have not been a Nights fan as long as most people in the fandom, but I still love this weird jester and the games we have so far. There aren't many, unfortunately, but the ones we do have are always pretty great and very unique. That is actually the subject for today's video. Most people only know and talk about the main two games, Nights into Dreams for the Sega Saturn and Journey of Dreams for the Nintendo Wii. And also sometimes Christmas Nights. But there are actually several other, much smaller Nights games out there that I think need some love on this anniversary too. So, let's not waste any more time, and let's get started talking about some obscure Nights games. I'm sure you've seen plenty of LCD games before. They're cheap, simple, and normally boring games that always seem to be either packaged with kids' meals in the early 2000s, or sold for pretty over the price it's worth in the 90s. Well, Nights, surprisingly enough, had one made by Tiger Electronics alongside other Sega classics like Virtua Fighter and Sonic. I gotta say, I love the look of the Tiger Electronics game, at least the standard one anyways. It's a little different in design compared to the other Sega Tiger games like Virtua Fighter, but the purple really makes it pop. The Knights, Claris, and Elliot on the sides also look great. I just absolutely love the look of this one. Anyways, the game was released in 1997, only a year after the release of the original Nights into Dreams on the Sega Saturn. The game starts off with you playing as either Claris or Elliot before dualizing with Knights, which is a nice touch. The game then plays out with not much fanfare. You basically fly around as Knights with very little variety in abilities, as you destroy idea palaces and avoid what little enemies there are in the game. You can play a little as Claris and Elliot, but it is about as lackluster as the rest of the game. The game itself just isn't much to talk about, but as a Knights and Sega collector, this piece is really interesting. There are two different versions of the Knights Tiger game. One is the one I've already mentioned that is fairly similar in design to the other Tiger games, but the second is called the Pocket Arcade version, which is much smaller build of the game that kinda has a flip phone design to it. This one rarely pops up online, and when it does, it goes for ridiculous amounts. Honestly, this game as a whole is a pretty pricey product as it is. By itself, the Tiger Knights game goes for around $100. Twice as much if you're looking to get it new. Is it cool? Yeah, kind of I guess. I mean, I love the look of it, so it'll look cool on a shelf at least. Is it worth that price? That is completely up to you, but personally, I would wait for a really good deal if you want to add this to your collection. We aren't done with Tiger Electronics and Knights, however. There is another version of this game available. This version was available as a cartridge for the RZone. Oh yeah, that was a thing that happened. For anyone, like myself before making this video, that has no idea what the heck this thing was, the RZone was the Tiger Electronics answer to the Nintendo Virtual Boy. That should tell you about everything you need to know about it. It was bad, but it did, somehow, have Knights on it, as well as a few other Sega games like Virtual Cop and Panzer Dragoon. So that's something. The Knights game for the RZone has almost nothing about it online outside pictures. There's no gameplay, no videos, nothing. Even Sega Retro, which is fairly reliable in my opinion, has almost nothing about it on the site. Surprisingly enough, this one is not all that expensive. It doesn't show up online much, but I found it for sale only months ago that ended at about $50. Much better than all the other prices for the other versions of this game. Recently, some of these old Tiger games have also been re-released, like Sonic 3. So maybe someday we'll see the return of the Knights Tiger Electronics game. I'm not getting my hopes up or anything, but it's still possible, and I'd buy one if they did it. Now, from a small game to a full-fledged mini-game, Knights' next small adventure wouldn't be on its own, but added in as a bonus game for another Sega classic, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Billy Hatcher, being a GameCube game, could connect to the Game Boy Advance to play minigames on it. And one of those games just happens to be a Knights-themed minigame. The game, like the previous ones mentioned, is pretty simple, and there isn't too much to it. However, it is much more faithful to the source material of the original Saturn game. In it, you play as knights in Spring Valley. Your goal is to try to collect as many blue chips and fly through as many rings as possible before the time runs out. Honestly, the game looks and sounds pretty great for a GameCube to Game Boy Advance download game. Spring Valley itself looks spot on, and outside of Knights' color looking a little off, it's perfect for how a Knights Game Boy Advance game would have looked like. It also has a pretty amazing GBA remix of Dream Dreams as the theme. It kinda makes me sad we never got a full-fledged real Game Boy Advance Knights game because this is so well done. Like, it proves that it could be done and fairly well. Add more to the game and give us some more stages and it would be perfect for a handheld Knights game for the time. Now, unfortunately, there's no enemies or bosses or anything like that. But for what it is more than worth it for any Knights fan. Billy Hatcher is considered a Sega classic game all around, and having a Knights minigame like this makes it even better in my book. This isn't even the only Knights reference in the game either, with Knights actually being a hatchable character in the game. Now, what about a Knights game that is actually lost media? Or might be lost media anyways. I couldn't find much of anything on it outside of this post. According to the author Gallant Pride on the Lost Media forums on Reddit, there was a Knights into Dreams port for the PC, well before the Steam port. This would make it a classic 1990s era Sega port for the PC. He first discovered this entire port when he saw a picture of Knights running on a PC from the 1990s or very early 2000s. Now, Sega did all sorts of these PC ports back in the day for their Sega Genesis games, Sega CD games, and of course, Sega Saturn games. So it isn't surprising that a Knights one could be real. But that's the question, isn't it? Is it real? Like Gallant Pride posted and I said earlier, there is practically nothing on it online. According to Gallant Pride, Yuji Naka, one of the creators of Knights, was asked about it and he thought it was already released. So where is it? You can't find any information on it online, you can't find a copy on eBay. Was it even real? There's no link in the article for this interview or even for the pictures, but someone did comment beneath the post that remembered the image that started the whole search. So right now I am giving Gallant Pride the benefit of the doubt and believing that a Knights PC port was real and that it may be out there somewhere. Whether that will be a full-fledged release or an early build remains to be seen. But it is still pretty fun to know that even Knights has a bit of lost media out there. And finally, so you guys remember a few years back when the whole Knights Dream Wheel trademark happened? I do. It was pretty exciting. It was just a simple trademark, but that thing started this whole discussion about a potential new Knights game. Well, while researching for this video, I found out that it was actually released less than a month ago. In a casino. Yeah. So, Knights Dream Wheel is the newest game in the Knights series that is literally just a gambling game. There is some pretty nice looking Journey of Dreams designs that do seem to be updated for this game, and there are also a few minor mini games, but not much else. This is it. This is genuinely it. It's a gambling game. Happy birthday, Knights. Happy birthday. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had a blast researching Knights like I always do. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, share with others who would love to see this, especially more Knights fans. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, especially when it comes to Knights. I love talking about the series, so you can expect to see plenty of Knights love on the channel. You can check out some of my other videos as well if you like. Check out my Twitter where I talk about Knights, which there's probably going to be plenty of that right now, especially with Knights Dream Wheel now existing. And as always, this is AdventureBlur, and I will see you next time. Happy birthday, Knights.